So I got super behind on my advent calendar for Vlogmas. My advent calendar and Vlogmas. I kind of lost my mojo over the weekend because I wasn't feeling so good. So I just opened 4 packages all at once. This is number 8. And number 9, my first batch of roll eggs. That's so exciting. And number 10. And number 11. These make me so supremely happy. Look at these. Ooh! I can't wait to spin with them. I'm glad I didn't try to keep up with spinning every day for Advent because holy jeez. This is a lot more fiber than I think I gave it credit for when I got it, but it's amazing. So one thing I thought I would do is show you how I like to photograph my stash. I photograph all of my stash as I get it, well, pretty close and you'll see what I mean, and then post it all to Ravelry so that I have a good idea of what I have. I don't know, if I'm looking for something for a particular project, it stays pretty organized. And then when it comes to starting a project, I can just put minimal details into the project page and attach all of the yarn because it's already been photographed. It also helps when I do it, I tend to photograph the labels, including the washing instructions. So if anyone, for instance, if I gift something to somebody and they want to know how to wash it, I use superwash, but just in case, I've got all of the notes and I can remind myself, and the same goes for anything that I make for myself. I'll have an idea of what the content is and how to take care of it. So it comes in pretty useful for me. It's how I like to organize my stuff. But it does take a little bit of work. And if you keep up with it on a regular basis, it's not actually that bad. So I thought, what the heck, I'll start doing that. So not terribly organized right now, but this is my basic setup. You know, my desk, my messy under desk, and messy over desk. But I do have several lights set up, and you'll notice that not a single one of them is pointing directly at my field, which is going to be right here. That's so that I don't get a lot of glare off of the desk, and you can kind of see a little bit of it right here. It's a little too bright against the finish on the wood, and so it tends to be a little bit reflective. So I try to avoid that by pointing the lights away from or just off of where I'm going to be pointing my camera. And there's my camera set up on my dad's old tripod. And I don't remember what this is. This camera was a gift from my mother-in-law because she's awesome. A Nikon Coolpix. And my favorite setting to use, I've got blue light bulbs in all of these lights, but you'd see it in some of my Vlogmas videos. Sometimes the colors are a little bit too off and they're a little too blue. But to offset that, I like to use the food setting. And a lot of cameras have them these days. You can see the little fork and knife in the corner. The little flower also means macro, so the camera is set up to take close-up pictures specifically. And I like to keep it on a little bit of a warm setting. See if I can point to it. There we go. And the warmth in that picture will offset the coolness of the bulbs that are surrounding it. So the color will be a little more realistic. You can see the table's actually looking pretty good. No, a lot of people like to buy those weathered wood cardboard cutouts to put behind their yarn. But my mom told me she still had my old desk that I think I got when I was like 5. And this had been beaten up by a teenager before it was mine. But you can see there's some henna from that phase in high school, and may or may not be an ex-boyfriend's name and address on there for some weird reason. Various beverage stains. It's pretty weathered, but I thought it made a pretty cool backdrop for my yarn. We'll see if I can do this. We'll get our first victim. Use some of this Gauge Dye Works yarn that I showed the other day. I've got a whole bag of stash waiting to be photographed, and there's more of it over there. I can't put it away until I photograph it, so I usually just stack it up. Then when I set up this whole rigmarole, I can literally just I'll aim the camera and get it all focused. Get it, I know they say it's bad form to use the zoom, but I do like to get it in a good spot. And then I'll literally just replace the yarn, click, turn it over to take a picture of the backside, click, and then get a really good picture of like the content or the washing instructions on the label. And all of that will just get uploaded to my Ravelry page. So I'm gonna get some of this done. So I thought I'd try to give you some pointers about actually taking pictures. Lighting, we've kind of talked about a little bit. There is another method where you can put a drape just underneath your lights. You want to be careful not to get them too close, especially if it's a more flammable cloth. There is photography equipment that is made for that, but you can just use regular like gauzy blinds for your windows and hang them under your lights, between your lights and your subject matter, and that'll get rid of some of that glare that I'm getting on the table. I don't use it right now because I don't really have a great way to drape it. I was using it previously, but I found that it didn't actually block all that much glare from coming off of the table, so I'm not doing it right now. I'm just touching the shutter button lightly to keep it from going to sleep on me. But look at your subject matter. Make sure that you've got all of it in the frame. See how I just kind of pulled it back because it was hanging off the edge a little bit? Make sure you're looking at your screen head on. Because if you go from like back here, see how the colors don't quite look right? You want to make sure you're looking at it straight on. Make sure the colors look good. You can try focusing on multiple parts of the yarn. You'll see that the colors will adjust as you do that, depending on how light or dark the values of those colors are. So if something's a little too light or too dark, before you start fiddling with the settings on your camera, just try focusing on something that's a different color, and sometimes that helps. You also, if you have writing, like on a label, it's good to make sure that it's not fuzzy. That's a really good way to know that your yarn is also going to be in focus. And you notice this little icon here, it's like a little dot with a couple of lines on it, or even the hand with the lines on it. Because this is a macro setting, it's telling me that my camera is probably going to shake because the settings are conducive to getting fuzzy pictures. So it's good when you're using a setting like that to have something like a tripod and try to be as still as possible when you're actually hitting the shutter button. So I'm holding the shutter button to focus. I've got the green box. Green means go, so I'm going to take my picture. And there we go. I like to get a picture of the front and the back so I can kind of see what the yarn's going to look like. Putting it diagonal like that allows me to get the longest line on the picture so I can get close and show the whole skein all at the same time. I don't think I can do this with one hand, but this is the part where I would try to get a picture of the label.